Good morning, everyone. Today we're checking out a brand new video from Popcross Studios, episode 6 of Fear of the Demon Hunter storyline, Secrets Laid Bare. Let's hop in and check it out.
Previously on Fear of the Demon Hunters.
Ooh, Chameleon Demon. That's gonna be cool.
Vivian Sabraya was able to utilize the Demonatrix to channel multiple demons and keep control of them using a tactic taught to her by the Archangel Capri. Neither Jax nor Fear herself seem thrilled with Capri's presence helping their group, but he hasn't given them any reason since joining up with them to distrust him.
Surprisingly useful.
After successfully using the Demonatrix to hunt down one of the demon general Zuphiathan's newest creations, the group has decided to go back to the Predator Coalition.
I'm sorry, but that name is like long as all heck. Like a Demon General Zuphiathan.
Of demon hunters.
Okay, never mind.
And tell their leader, Commander Tamika Wiggins, about their plan to use the Demonatrix, with Fear herself's help, to slay Zuphiathan, other demon generals, and maybe even the Archons ravaging the multiverse. They're unsure how long they have until Clayton Costas awakens in the basement of the Coalition and reveals some of this information anyway.
Well, Cobble said before that they had 12 hours. It only took about maybe 40 minutes or so to actually learn how to use the Demonatrix. Then they went for a trial run. And since he was able to warp them straight to the general area of it, I'd say they were probably fighting for an hour at best. It's a few hours at worst, so he should still be asleep for a good bit more, unless they're traveling without teleportation.
Of course, this also means Vivian will have to finally admit that she has been hiding demon powers from everyone at the Coalition, as well as what she did with this demon form, called Himanapoda, when she first got it. To hear the full story, you can go to the beginning of the Fear of the Demon Hunters playlist, linked in the description, or get ready to enjoy Chapter 6.
Let's go!
Vivian was still terrified of their plan to approach Tamika, but after discussing how it should go, she felt they'd found the best way to do it. Plus, thanks to Capri's tactics for using the Demonatrix and releasing Vivian's fear when it came up, she at least felt like her fear of Tamika's response didn't have full control over her. They'd called Tamika in advance to confirm she was in her office alone. Viv had warned Tamika that she and Jax had something very important to discuss with the commander in regards to Riva and Zuphiathan. Still in the field in Tanzania, Viv, Jax, and Fear all gathered around Capri. His eyes found Vivian's. "Remember, Vivian, no matter how Commander Wiggins responds, we shall all remain on your side. Her opinion of you does not define your character." Viv nodded thankfully. Seconds later, in a swell of light, they all reappeared in the sub-basement of the Coalition base. It was just how they left it, with the vault door once containing the Demonatrix swung open, and Clayton still lying asleep with a scowl and a glowing white sword clutched in his hand. Capri sat himself down next to Clayton, muttering, "I had such high hopes for you, Costas. Now I only regret giving you that sword in the first place."
Ooh.
That itself was an alarming revelation to Viv, but she didn't have time to ask about it.
Angelic
She,
blade.
Jax, and Fear, now turned back into her human form as Riva, all headed for the elevator. They took it up and walked quickly to Tamika's office. Viv reached the wooden door with a blurred glass center and didn't give herself a second to reconsider. She swung open the door and was caught off guard to see Paul in the room with Tamika, behind a large dark wooden desk.
Oh.
His being there didn't change Viv's plans. If anything,
I mean, that is all husband.
He may actually calm Tamika down if she was mad enough to reach for her shotgun, laying flat across the desk. They both looked over at the trio that had just entered. Tamika said, "Well now, you certainly piqued my interest with that call, final girl. You feeling good and rested now, Riva?" Oh. What's...
Alright, the smell!
Smells like a bucket of used diapers in the garbage of a dank stoner's basement. Vivian had sort of gotten used to the smell, but had anticipated it being noticeable. "That's us. Sorry. I can explain, but I've got something else I have to tell you first." In that moment, Vivian felt like she was about to dive off a cliff. All the respect Tamika had for her was possibly about to vanish. But Vivian knew it would be better coming from herself than from Clayton.
Oh yeah.
Once again, not letting herself reconsider, she started into her story. "Commander Wiggins, You know how Kushmara got her demon powers and everyone here was kind of scared of her? Everyone thought she might turn on the Coalition and,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, go on a killing spree or something. Tamika crossed her arms. That was before I was command around here. I liked that gal from the moment I met her, demon powers and all. I wish she hung around here more instead of being off with her crazy multiverse friends. She
Well,
can
that's
take down a
good,
demon in
'cause-
seconds that might take a whole squad of us an hour. Plus, she makes Clayton get all skittish in a way that's pretty hilarious to watch. Viv nodded. Right. Well, partly because of how everyone here treated her, and because of some other reasons I'll get to, I've always been too afraid to tell anyone. With her hand shaking uncontrollably, she raised her arm and let it shift into her form as Humanopoda. I've got demon powers too,
I am
but
the Hornet
when
Demon.
I first got turned, unlike Mara, I actually did hurt people. Viv's fears swelled even more, realizing what she'd have to say next. Tamika glanced at Paul, then back to Viv. You know, I thought there might have been something a little bit extra about you. Killing that ice demon that took Avery from us didn't seem like something you
Damn.
could pull off with a few throwing knives. Tamika stood up and marched around her desk with an indifferent sort of grin. So, let me guess, final girl, you got turned into a demon, your demon form hurt or maybe even killed a couple people against your will, then you got control and decided to use those powers to help us hunt demons? That don't make you a monster, it
That's
makes you a
exactly what
good
happened.
person, so relax. Viv liked how calm Tamika was, but the confession was a long way from over. Tamika was a
And
tough
that's
woman,
not
but
all.
her softest side came out around kids. That made the next part of the confession that much harder. That's not really it. See, I used to be terrified of hornets, to a point where I didn't even like going outside. I'd only be okay to walk around really dense city areas out in Denver, where I'm from. I guess I became so terrified of them that I attracted the insect demon Entomantis to attack me.
Oh.
For a whole day, no matter where I
Damn.
went, I heard the sound of a hornet swirling around my head, even though I couldn't see anything. I even tried running to my parents' place. I forgot they were off on a camping trip that they'd wanted me to come on, but I'd been too scared to go. My dad was freaked out by hornets too, but he was willing to try overcoming his fear to go out there. And
Aw.
I wasn't. I just hid in a closet at their place, but couldn't get away from the sound. Finally, I felt something sting the back of my neck. That alone was enough to make me panic to a point of nearly passing out, but then everything got worse. The buzzing got louder, and I felt like hornets were crawling all over my skin, like they
here
were
it
trying to
goes.
crawl into my mouth and ears and nose. Eventually, someone knocked on the closet door, and I thought it was my parents having come home early. I threw open the door, but it wasn't them. It was a massive hornet-like demon. This was before I knew demons existed, too, so I
Oh,
thought I was
crap.
going insane. Entomantis bit me before I could even scream, and a yellow toxin started pulsing through me. Right after that, I started hearing little thudding sounds against the window. I fell to the ground trying to crawl back into the closet away from the demon, but past it, I saw that a whole swarm of bees and wasps and hornets were banging on the window. The demon slowly walked over to the window and opened it.
Opened it. Oh
Viv
shit.
jumped as she felt a soft hand on her back.
I would have honestly loved it to see this animated.
She glanced down. It was Fear, or Riva, trying to comfort her violently shaking body, but Riva was shaking herself. Viv figured Fear rarely had to listen to anyone's account of what it was like to face one of the demons she'd created.
Oh well, yeah, no duh.
Viv took a deep breath.
She's never there.
I guess I don't have to relive all the awful details, but by the time Entomantis grabbed me and flew me out of there, I was covered in stings and real bugs. It carried me off to the same Colorado campgrounds where my parents were camping, but kept me in an isolated spot and sent more waves of bugs to torture me. I tried to run, but no matter where I went, they found me. And I think it went on like that for hours until finally Entomantis came over and Viv pulled down the neck of her shirt just below her collarbone to reveal a scar running right through the center of her upper chest. I thought it had killed me, and to be honest, by that point, I was
I
actually
hoped it did.
relieved. But Then I heard a voice that caught my attention. That was the first time I ever saw Fear herself.
We're getting some good backstory and some new demons. I wonder if they'll come into play. There's a chance. Let's see.
I was floating above my...
Oh, what the hell? Okay, this is actually a pretty good design, but damn, is that ugly. Yeah. Oh.
body. I guess my soul had left it, but I wasn't fully dead yet. I heard a voice say,
You couldn't just get over your fears, huh?
I saw a girl with floating purple hair hovering in a seated position next to my body and didn't really understand what I was seeing. The next thing she said was,
Well, maybe you can at least help someone else get over their fear of hornets.
I don't really know how to explain what she was doing to me after that, but I saw over the next hour my body turning into, well, more like this, Viv said, waving her still demon-shifted hand. When Fear was done, she moved back and my body got up off the ground as a new demon form that Fear referred to as Himenopoda, the hornet demon. She sent it off, and out of my control, I saw my body fly into the woods. I followed it, not sure what I could actually do about it until it caught a scent. It started headed back towards the city, and I could sort of smell the smell too. It felt like me. I mean, not actually me, but like someone who had the same fear as me. I could tell it was about to go and hunt someone else down with a fear of hornets, and I couldn't stand the idea of anyone else going through the same thing I just had, so I tried going back into my body. As soon as I did, I got a little bit of control back and made the demon start falling from the sky into the trees, but I also started feeling all the horrible things that I had when Entomantis attacked me. I hoped it would go away, but the more I tried to take control, the more I felt it, and I'd been tortured so much already, I just couldn't do it. I honestly thought I'd rather die than feel that feeling anymore. I let my soul leave again, just as the demon crashed through the bottom row of branches. But it fell right into a smoldering fire pit surrounded by tents.
Uh-oh.
The demon wasn't hurt and just stood up in the ashes. I was back outside my body when a bunch of kids started screaming. They leapt out of the tents. I guess it was like a kid's field trip or a birthday or... I don't know. But the 13 kids and 3 adults there all woke up and saw the demon in their camp, and I guess the demon didn't like being seen. Viv noticed that Tamika's sad expression at hearing the story had shifted to stone-faced and unreadable, but Viv knew she just had to accept it and keep going. Himenopoda attacked the first kid with its stinger and killed her in one shot. The adults tried running the kids away. One tried attacking it, and the demon grabbed him and flew him into the air and
full backstory.
Just dropped him on his neck. I went back into my body and tried taking control again. I managed to stop the demon for just a few seconds, but in those seconds I felt the horror and the stinging and the welts, and I was too weak to stay with that feeling. Part of me figured that nobody would know if I stopped trying, so I did. I just let it happen. I left my body and, like a coward, I just tried to not watch as the demon killed every single kid in that camp one by one.
Damn.
I tried to pretend I was helpless, like stopping it wasn't possible, but I knew even then that it was. I could have saved them all. I may not have been the one to kill those kids, but even then I knew I could stop it, and I didn't. Only because I was too scared to try. With tears rolling down her cheeks, Viv glanced back at Jax and saw his expression was a mix of horrified and sad, but she couldn't tell what he was thinking about her. She looked back towards the floor in front of her as she continued. I guess my parents hadn't been camped out far from where these kids were because I heard their voices calling out in the distance. After the full camp was killed, Himenopoda might have just flown off to avoid being seen if it was anyone else, but it smelled my dad's fear of hornets too, and flew right towards them. That was when I actually forced myself to take control. I went back into my body and just fought through all the fear and awful feelings. It was one of the most horrible experiences of my life because instead of being forced into the torture,
Oh, hold on. I'm sorry to cut off the story just for a moment, but who is actually afraid of snails or slugs for that matter? Because I have no idea why this would actually exist. I mean, I know it's probably a real fear out there. I just have never met anyone with it.
like Entomantis had done, I was doing it to myself. But once I got full control, it stopped. I was able to fly the demon away before my parents saw me, but that didn't really make things better because it proves that if I'd actually cared enough, I could have saved all those kids. It's not even
Well, not all of them. That first one was dead no matter what.
just them dying that's horrible, but what it must have done to all their families. How many parents and siblings and grandparents had their lives ruined that day just because I was too scared to save their kids? Viv didn't have the courage yet to look back up at Tamika's face. I found out later how to turn back into my normal self. My parents had still found the massacred camp and called the police. The Stinger attacks looked enough like a machete that the cops there have had it written off since as a serial killer who's still under investigation. I went back to that spot a
Just
week
leave
or
it as
so
that.
later and found some coalition members there investigating. They asked if I knew anything, and I told them about Entomantis attacking me. They assumed it had done the massacre too, and that I'd gotten away by overcoming my fear, and they congratulated me. I just went along with it, and from
Oh,
there
boy.
joined the coalition, hoping I could redeem myself for what I'd done. So, here I am.
Well, that
Finally,
explains
Viv's
that.
eyes panned up and caught Tamika's gaze. Her expression was a blend of emotions, but the one showing clearest was sympathy. The commander stepped forward and put her hands on Viv's shoulders.
Hug.
Getting tortured can even break a hardened military vet, Viv.
Please hug.
The fact that you couldn't force yourself to go through more of it ain't really a surprise. You might not have done the best thing then, but you've done what you can to make it better ever since. And that's all any of us can ask of you. You're still good with me. Viv wanted to pass out from relief. Unfortunately, she knew this confession was still far from over.
Yeah.
At
one
least
more
having
thing.
her longest-lasting secret revealed had given her the confidence to keep moving forward, as Tamika asked. But I still don't get what this has to do with Zoophiathan and little Riva here. Vivian took
Say
a
hello to
deep
Fiona
breath,
herself.
shaking less with the significant weight already lifted from her. Jax and Riva both know my secret and are helping me with something big. Riva's not only able to detect demons, she's also helping with something that could be huge in letting us kill Zoophiathan and maybe all the other demon generals too.
Hopefully.
As Viv spoke, she unzipped her jacket. She pulled off one sleeve to reveal the Demonitrix stuck in her shoulder. Tamika took a step back. Is that... Are you out of your melon, girl? The last time anyone tried using that thing, they killed 4 hunters, then offed themselves just to get the demon they channeled out of them. Jack stepped forward. I know, Commander. I was there when that happened, but Viv has this thing down. I've seen
She's
it. She
used
can
it
control
twice.
it. The reason we stink right now is because she turned into the skunk demon Mefitsune and used that form to kill another demon already. Tamika's hand had reached
Remarkable.
towards her shotgun, but she pulled back. When did y'all have time to do that? We ain't even been back from Fiji for a day. Viv continued. It's not just Riva helping me with controlling the Demonitrix. We've also got... As if summoning him by thinking about him, a light flashed in the room, and Capri appeared.
Greetings.
But golden blood dripped from a massive gash in his arm.
Oh, that's not
What
good.
the hell? Tamika snatched the gun off her desk and aimed it, but didn't fire. Capri nodded at her. I apologize for the
Wait, hold on. Is Capri like the fear of angels or something?
intrusion, but we have a problem.
I don't know.
Clayton is awake and is headed up here. I attempted to hold him back, and as you can tell, that didn't go well. Tamika
Wow, those 12 hours flew by fast.
turned her head, but kept her aim on the Archangel. Clayton? What does Grandpa Snowtop got to do with this? And how did you get one of these reclusive, so-called angel fools to help you? Viv knew she didn't have long. If Clayton was on his way up, the first thing he'd do when he came into this room was try to kill Riva. Vivian took her most confident breath yet. Commander Wiggins, I wanted to have more time to explain all of this, but by knowing how I got my demon form, you probably get that I would have more reason to hate and distrust the Demon Queen Fear herself than anyone, right? Tamika shook her head, baffled. Fear herself? What does that little ghoul have to She stopped as she glanced down at Riva. Viv could practically feel her putting the pieces together. Oh, hell no! She cocked her gun and aimed at Riva, but Viv stepped between them.
I mean, that's an honest reaction. The person that caused all of this is in her office. Of course, she'd be like, yeah!
She's here to help, Tamika. She's helping us use the Demonatrix, and we're going to use it to kill Zuphiathan, and we might even be able to hunt the Archons with it. The ones Koshmar and her team are fighting across the multiverse. Fear is helping us not just save our world from demons, but hundreds of others.
All of them.
Are you out of your damn mind? She created the demons and the Archons. She's brainwashing you, Sabrias. Step aside. Once, the idea of Tamika being angry at her would have shattered Vivian's heart. But something about having finally let go of her biggest secret made Viv feel bigger than she had in her entire life. No, I know how many horrible things she's done, but I'd rather have her alive and helping us clean up her mess than have her dead and try to do it without her. Fear wants to make up for the things she's done just like I did, and I'm going to give her the chance to, whether you think it's right or not. Tamika shook her head.
Already made a good chance.
I really hope you're being brainwashed right now and aren't just being stupidly optimistic, but either way, sorry about this, final girl. Tamika spun her shotgun around and smashed the end towards Viv's stomach. Jax's bat thrust in front just in time to knock the blow off course and miss Vivian.
Oh.
He turned to Capri.
Good skill.
Well, get us out of here! Just as he yelled, the doors were kicked in. Viv barely caught a glimpse of Clayton with fury in his eyes as Capri grabbed her and light overwhelmed her vision. They appeared back in the same field Capri had first taken them to. Viv's heart was pounding, but weirdly it felt more like excitement than terror. Jax threw his bat at the ground. Great! Just great! The whole coalition is going to be hunting us now. You couldn't handle a stupid hunter for 10 more minutes? What kind of archangel are you? Capri stayed surprisingly calm despite his bleeding and the yelling. As much as Clayton may be an immature pain, he is very skilled with a blade. Specifically with a blade that is able to harm my kind quite effectively. You couldn't have just put him to sleep again? You're just as useless as you archangels have been for as long as the coalition has been around.
Ooh,
Capri sighed. While that is a slightly unfair analysis, I do accept that your anger is partially justified. Oh, just partially, is it? Even Fear jumped in on the argument.
I'm with Batboy. You couldn't have just teleported to the door and knocked so you didn't make Wiggins panic by bursting in out of nowhere?
Oh, that would
Capri's
have been
teeth
good.
clenched. Perhaps, but my decision-making tends to be slightly skewed after being stabbed. And a lecture from you is rich considering the shotgun aimed for your head is the reason we had to flee. Hey!
Okay.
Everyone jumped at the unusual sound of Vivian yelling. Would you all relax? Do you remember what our mission is? Jax stared at her confused. Tell the coalition our plan and not have them hate us? So, mission failed? Viv walked closer to him. No, our actual mission. Use the Demonatrix to hunt and kill the demons that are tormenting people in our world and maybe even other worlds. Sure, it'd be nice if Tamika was on board, but just because she thinks we're nuts, that doesn't mean this won't work. Plus, when it does work and we kill Zuphiathan, the coalition will see that we were right. And even if they don't, we'll still be doing the right thing. She got closer to Jax, looking him in the eyes. If Avery is watching us right now, which do you think she'd rather see? Us groveling to get the approval of the coalition, or killing the demon generals in our world so that nobody dies the way she did? He looked away and snorted angrily, but then said, I don't know how she'd feel about us working with these two, but I guess the killing demon generals answer. Vivian turned and marched towards Capri next. What about you? Are you sticking with us or what?
Yeah, what
He grinned warmly.
Come on.
As Jax has made clear, the Coalition's opinion of archangels has never been of great concern to us anyhow. As long as our goals are aligned, I'll be with you. Viv
Good
turned
enough.
to Fear next, who was just staring at her, confused and bug-eyed. And you, Fear? You haven't done any digging in the last few hours? I saw your face in there. I think you get how messed up the stuff you've done is, but I'm still willing to leave the past behind and keep you on solid ground. So, are you gonna stick around and build yourself up instead of digging back down?
Say yes.
She slowly tilted her head.
Say yes.
The whole coalition might be trying to track you down now just for working with me.
Yes.
They clearly don't need me to control the Demonatrix, and you're really still okay with bringing me along?
Well, of
Are you
course.
determined to be better than you used to be? Because those questions have the same answer, Fear. Her expression shifted to a confused smile.
You're kinda nuts, Viv. And call me Arava.
Hey!
I guess you guys can too.
That's a big step.
She said, turning to the others. Jax muttered. Well, it's less fun if you're not annoyed by it, but sure. Viv turned to face them all with a confident grin. I need more practice with this thing before we take down Zuphiathan. So, what demons are we gonna hunt next? Over the next 3 weeks alone, Vivian saw
3 weeks! Whoa! Okay.
more demons than she had in her entire time at the Coalition. While there were only 4 archangels still alive, they had enough of a network to have plenty of leads on demons. Despite blocking their phone's tracking signals, Jax was still able to use his to get into Coalition databases and get even more demon leads. Arava also continued to help with tracking once they got close, so a demon fight was never far away when Viv was ready for another. They were specifically targeting demons they believed worked under Zuphiathan. Animal demons and dinosaur demons.
Specifically.
Demon generals absorb strength from the fear of the kills of their minions, so the fewer demons under his command, the weaker he'd be when they eventually went after him. Unfortunately, with Zuphiathan seemingly having command over the former general, Sorieklis's dinosaur demons, that meant he had a massive roster to go through, with more possibly being made by the day. Still,
Quick question. How would one demon general take the demons from another demon general? Like, is it just kill that demon general and boom, suddenly you have the warriors? Or do you have to, like, in a way, consume that demon general?
the troop hunted on. Viv and Arava also spent time breaking down some different demon power levels so that Viv could try taking over stronger and stronger demons progressively. They also made sure to pick the right demon to hunt whoever they were going after next. The first one she used was called Camelophin, the chameleon demon who could turn invisible, had eyes all over its body, and had a tongue with a hand at the end of it, stronger than most demons' arms.
That was
She
the
used it
first
to
one.
hunt down a dinosaur demon called Dilphazir, which was based on a Dilophosaurus. Thanks to the work
Nice.
of Michael Crichton in the book-turned-famous film Jurassic Park, these creatures are depicted in pop culture as having frilled necks and the ability to spit acid. This wasn't
Whoops.
actually true of these dinosaurs in real life, but even still, the demon Dilphazir had these traits. Some in the Coalition suspect the author survived an encounter with this creature, resulting in how he depicted Dilophosauruses, but this
I
has
can
never
see
been
that in
confirmed.
universe.
Regardless, its fast speed and ability to spit acid was no match for Viv and her team once she transformed into the many-eyed Camelophin. She could see the opposing demon no matter where it ran, and could remain hidden from it with her cloaking ability. She was able to
Brilliant.
sneak up on it and pin it with her extended tongue, while Jax gave it a finishing blow. In Vivian's oddly favorite mission, she took the form of a snail demon called Helix Kargan. It was a grotesque, slimy monstrosity believed to have been made in collaboration between Zuphiathan and a demon called Mesomucus, the germ demon.
Ugh.
Helix Kargan could excrete
I
a
can see
foul,
that.
sticky slime that could trap any who touched it, so Viv took this form and coated every inch of a warehouse in the ooze. The demon was a horrid sight to behold, but the reaction from Jackson Copry witnessing her transform into it was quite funny to Viv. She and Arava shared a laugh over it when the mission was complete. That particular hunt was for the shark demon Galeojaw, who swims through the air over cities, searching for those who avoid large bodies of water due to an immense fear of sharks. Arava, as a prime target for Zuphiathan's demons, hovered through the air and lured it into the warehouse. She then stuck her tendrils out of the ground through the slime, coating them and more easily snatching the shark demon. She held it down to the ground while Copry flew above it, out of the slime's grip, and dealt with the demon using his club. In this time, Viv felt more in control of herself and her life than she had in years. She hadn't realized what a
Great.
stranglehold her secret had had on her ability to enjoy life. Now she was being thrust into life-threatening conditions every day and was literally
You know, I wonder, will she become like the full-on actual user of the Demonitrix? Or will, after the whole mission's over, give it up? Either way, I could see her and the Demonitrix becoming great allies and members of the Sharp Gang.
working alongside the person who'd essentially been the cause of the greatest pain she'd ever experienced. Yet, Viv had never felt more alive and determined. She could even feel Zuphiathan in her head sometimes when she took control of his demons. She couldn't stop his presence, but he also couldn't take control of her, so when he was watching, all he'd see was Viv and her team controlling or defeating his own minions. He knew the threat of them finding and slaying him was growing, which is likely why he made some new demons, specifically made for them.
Oop,
Their
here we
most
go.
dangerous mission yet came when Zuphiathan sent after them a frigid blend of past demons they'd faced. However, the mission wouldn't only cause strife due to the fierce and familiar nature of this demon, but also because of who else was hunting it.
Oh, the Coalition must have gone what about it? Oh, this is gonna be something. Cryodraken.
Honestly, with these last two
Drake, I
episodes,
don't know.
this series is kind of ramping up to being almost my favorite as much as Starseed Psyche is of the stuff I'm currently writing.
Oh no, Starseed Psyche is topping the list of even my list, and I will fight you on that, man. You created it, but I would fight you on that.
This one is going to be shorter. I think in the next 4, maybe 5 episodes, I'll be able to tell the entire story that I want to tell. Though, like with Mytholethal, some of the characters are going to be coming back later. But anyway, huge
Yes.
thank you again to everybody who submitted for this, and special thank you to the people chosen for today. Aryan Moon,
Good.
Eternal Pigeon,
Disgusting.
and Flavio Constantini.
Nice.
I announced the next redraw prompt in the previous episode, but it's up on screen here if you want to see it again. On Monday, I'm very excited to be releasing my first Illustrator Reacts video in like 5 years. It's going to be an interesting experiment going back to that. But also, if you're enjoying
Yeah, I
this
think
series and
people
you
will
haven't
enjoy
yet
it.
seen my Realm of Hopeful Horrors episode that I put out a few weeks ago, you might want to check that out, because when this series is done, at some point in the near future after that, Realm of Hopeful Horrors is going to take over as the spooky sort of series on the channel. But
Oh,
anyway,
okay.
besides that, that's all
Good
for
to
today,
hear.
except of course for ending this video on some kind of positive or inspiring note, and the thought I want to leave people with is a quote I sort of coincidentally read this week that pretty well relates to the stuff that happened in this episode. It's a quote by a man named Michel de Montaigne, who said, "A man who fears suffering is already suffering from what he fears."
Ooh, that's pretty
Sometimes
good.
the pain we cause ourselves by being scared of something that might happen is actually worse than if that thing did even happen. Worth considering, and I
That's
hope
true.
that's inspiring. I love you all, and I'll see you all in the next episode on Monday. Goodbye.
Alright everyone, well that's going to be the end of today's video, and I hope you all enjoyed this. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe for more. Link to the original will be in the description below, and I'll see y'all next time when we flick back on. Until then, this is Fox, signing out. Peace.